Alright, this is test number 2, and you should be able to see the green paint, but it did not turn out nearly as neatly as I had hoped. Obviously it run because it's spray paint, and it actually had a much cleaner look when it was just plain white. So I think I might eventually figure out something else or get a new sheet of corrugated plastic. Back when I bought it, it was only 20 bucks at the co-op, and that was a couple of years ago, so you know, they're really not that expensive. What else? Yeah, I guess I'm gonna continue talking into this thing to see just how it all adds up. I think one of the keys to doing YouTube videos is obviously to produce content, but I'd prefer to, have something of value to put out there to add rather than to just fill a void. So I should probably focus. That's me in my wheelchair. That's my little analog. I've got a few of the articulated Ken dolls with wheelchairs on the way. I found some and I ordered them through the mail, so it'll be different. And I did actually make an incision on Ken's face in his mouth so that I could insert a tiny little doobie, but I couldn't get one rolled tight enough. It's always the problem, I suppose. So I'm going to talk about MS today, I suppose. When it all started for me, I had an itch in my left arm that would not go away, and I could not satisfy it by scratching. And at one point I had actually scratched my arm raw, and I went down to a clinic in Calgary because at the time I lived in Calgary. It was really booming. It was growing a lot, and it was almost impossible to get a family doctor. But I went to the 8th and 8th clinic, which was, I guess at the time, it's kind of the junkie clinic, the street clinic, where everybody with a problem or not enough time on their hands, or crazy people would end up there. And I'm fairly certain that the first doctor who saw me, once I described my symptoms, probably thought I was expressing drug-seeking behavior. So she said, "I think it's all in your head," and sent me on my way. And she was technically right, because that's where the MS is. But it was just sort of it was funny. I remember the very first day I actually got a family doctor, which was shortly thereafter. The very first appointment I had with him, he said, "I think you have multiple sclerosis, and I'm going to book you an MRI." And yeah, that was way back. That was in Calgary. That was the beginning of my MS journey. Not really, I guess partly in denial, largely in denial, because the symptoms came and went. I remember one day, it was a Sunday, and I lived in my apartment in downtown Calgary at the Rocky Mountain Court, and I woke up on a Sunday and I couldn't feel my legs. They were numbed right out. And I remember that morning I said a prayer. I said, "God, you can keep my legs, just let me have my dick." And I figured out how to get moving again, because I realized my legs did work, I just couldn't feel them. And that was well, that led to the next, I don't know, 6 months maybe, when I had almost, yeah, it was, I honestly can't remember how long it lasted, but it was weeks and weeks of relentless, never-ending pins and needles in my legs. That was a sensation, pins and needles in my legs, and it was, I remember it was so bad in the beginning before my brain just kind of learned to ignore it or something. I would kick my legs until I'd fall asleep because they were constantly driving me crazy. Yeah, that was a funny symptom. What are the other symptoms that I've had? I mean, I'm just going through them as I remember them coming up. I remember when I had my one of the last jobs I worked. One of the last jobs I worked, and the last job that I really enjoyed, and that I really looked forward to doing. I worked for Explosives Limited, and that was a great job. I genuinely learned how to mix explosives for mines in quantities of tons and tons, and it was a really responsible job to have. And I remember one day I was gonna go to work because I'd be up and at 'em 4 o'clock in the morning, and I remember my left foot went to sleep. And I thought, oh shit, I tied my boot too tight. So I loosened my boot and didn't change anything, you know? And then I realized, you know, an hour or two later that I have MS, and this might be MS. And it was shortly, well, I don't know, a month or two later that I got fired from my job, which is an interesting coincidence. But short answer is yeah. And you know, I've had multiple relapses like that where they were mild, very mild like that, and then it would all go away and I'd be back to normal. And obviously things are getting, you know, a little further advanced. I technically have secondary progressive MS. Everybody starts with, you know, a clinically isolated episode, and then they move on to relapse remittent. Well, not everybody. Some people just advance straight from, you know, they're just full bore. But I've been fortunate where I've slowly progressed, and now I am secondary progressive. And I don't like the word confined, but I technically am confined to a wheelchair because I can't really, you know, I can get up, I can stand, I can transfer when I've got a railing and a cane, you know, a good solid crutch and help. Then I can do a flight of stairs or two. But it's not a graceful act by any means. And yeah, so I am coping with everything, and I do enjoy the challenges sometimes, but there's a lot to do every day that, you know, the fact is, like, MS causes brain fog and, you know, forgetfulness and all that, and then you add in the fact that to treat the MS and some of the symptoms like spasticity, I use marijuana. And I still, you know, I still have a pretty extraordinarily long-term memory, but short-term memory, shot. You know, I I don't know. I really love overcoming MS. I love overcoming MS. I don't love MS. I love overcoming it. And lately I feel like I've been overcoming it. I've been transcending. And that's huge for me. You know, that's I do take a mild antidepressant. I think it's 10 milligrams of citalopram every day. And it's helpful. You know, I don't believe in overdoing my medications, but for me it's also, I need to be careful because I've learned by discussing with my neurologist regularly about, you know, my medications, and the fact that, you know, we've discovered that I'm very sensitive to medication, so I don't need as much as some people. And that's a positive thing to know. You know, one thing that I still don't do that may have been useful if I had started right from day one would be to keep an MS journal, but that's just not part of my makeup, or at least it hasn't been. And you know, this might very well be the closest I come to it, but no guarantees. Yeah, MS is a really, really, really funny disease, man. But I'll try to do something about it every so often. I'll do MS, and then I'll do a separate one about alcoholism, and then maybe another one about mental health, and maybe they'll all converge, cross paths eventually. But I'm just trying to get the practice of this down. So if you like what you hear, then like, subscribe, and share. And even if you don't, dislike, subscribe, and share. Or just, you know, pass on. Thank you.